Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In today's video, we're going to unbox, test, and review the Brook PS4, PS3 to PS2 converter. In the background, I have 3 different PlayStation 2s, 2 different games, and 4 different controllers to test out. I'll be testing out wired and wireless connections as well as hot swapping controllers when the system is up and running. The box here is pretty simple and straightforward. It says Brook Game Controller Super Converters Magic Box P2-BL PS3, PS4 to PS2 controller adapter. There is a turbo button as well as custom buttons. On the back of the box, it says use your PS3, PS4 controllers with PS2 and PC. This amazing product is compatible with your gamepad, joystick, and more. It allows you to customize your button layout and add a turbo button to original and third-party controllers. It also has a really good bonus to allow you to play your DS3 or DS4 controllers with the PC. So it has a USB interface which permits hot swapping. We'll be testing that out. Firmware upgrade, we'll be upgrading the firmware, X input support, and vibration support. Opening up the box, you will find the PS3, PS4 to PS2 converter, and I'll just set that aside there. Checking also in the box, there is an instruction manual. One thing that I really like about Brook are their instruction manuals. They do a really good job of making them clear, concise, and easy to read. They're extremely informative, and they're one of the few instruction manuals that I actually like to keep around to reference later on. You can get this information on their website, but sometimes having the instruction manual is pretty handy. Taking the converter out of the packaging here, there was something I didn't notice, and that was the stickers that were hidden under the converter itself. So if you're a sticker fan, there are some stickers here as well. Looking at the converter itself, there are 2 ends. One end plugs into the PS2 and the other one is the USB connection and micro USB connection. One of them plugs into your computer for the micro USB. The other one plugs into your PS3, PS4 controller. And conveniently, they are labeled PC, PS3, PS4. And before I start using this on my PS2, the first thing I want to do is upgrade the firmware. Brook usually does a pretty good job of upgrading the firmware. I really don't know what version is on the PS2 converter, so the safe bet here is to upgrade it with the latest firmware, and hopefully I'll have no issues. It's pretty easy to find the firmware I need. I'm just going to click on the PS2 console because that is the converter we're dealing with. I'll leave links in the description below as well to their support pages. But you can see on this page there is a manual download, so it's a PDF doc of the Brook manual that I was showing earlier, and also a PC download, which is the firmware update software. And the last update was November of 2017, version 1.3. Once the firmware software is downloaded and installed, open it up, and this is the screen that you get. These are the instructions to connect the converter to the computer via micro USB cable. However, there is something missing here. So it says step 1, press the button on the converter itself. Step 2, plug it in with the button pressed. So here is the switch that you need to switch over into X input mode. It says XID. By default, mine was switched over to PS2. So just flip the switch over to XID, then plug it into your computer and you'll have no issues. If you leave it on the PS2 mode, you will not be able to update the firmware. If you've connected it properly to the computer, you'll get this screen here. It says the latest version 1.3, which matches the version that we downloaded off the website. It says do not disconnect the USB during update. And there's also a checkbox here if you want the controller compatibility update. At this point, I am using Capcom vs SNK 2 plugged into the FAT PS4 using the converter and my Qamba Obsidian. Now, to get my Qamba Obsidian to work, I had to flip it over into PS3 mode. So the Qamba Obsidian can be PS4, PS3, or PC. For some reason, PS4 didn't work, but switching it over to PS3 mode, and it seems to be working. So here is the converter working with the Obsidian. There is a slight bit of input delay, but that happens on the DualShock 2 as well. So it seems pretty normal to me. Now, if you are a buff at the input delay stuff, or the input lag, as other people call it, feel free to let me know in the comments below, but it seems okay. So here are a few fireballs. You can see everything seems relatively fine, and a few DPs, and they seem fine too. Swapping the Quamba Obsidian for now the Hitbox, which uses a Brook UFB. And everything else here seems to be fine as well. You can see the buttons are pretty responsive, left and right, down, up. They all seem pretty good. Now I'll try a few fireballs. Everything seems pretty good here. Lastly, we'll try a few DPs, and they're coming out just fine too. Next up is the DualShock 4 hooked up to the PS2 playing Gran Turismo 3. It's currently wired and the vibration function is working pretty strongly. To connect it wirelessly, all you have to do is just unplug it. Make sure the DualShock 4 controller does not turn off, and it should automatically connect just like that. Like, I didn't have to turn off my PS2, I didn't have to restart it, I didn't really have to do anything other than make sure the DS4 didn't turn off. And you can see here that everything seems to be working pretty good. Turning the DualShock 4 off now, so it just takes a little bit to power down. I'm going to now plug in the DualShock 3. As the game's still running, you can actually see the car still moving here. So I'll unplug the USB cable, plug in the DualShock 3 USB cable, plug in the DualShock 3, and just like that, it works. The vibration's working, the pressure sensitive buttons are working as well. Everything seems to be working just fine. Unplug the DualShock 3 here, and I'm hoping wireless is going to work. I'll just make sure the DualShock 3 does not turn off. It is on and working just like that. So that is pretty impressive for this little converter. So now I have my second PS2 hooked up, which is a PS2 Slim, and it is hooked up to the DS4 controller playing Capcom vs SNK 2. We'll see if there are any issues here. So just checking movements, both the analog stick and D-pad work. The buttons are very responsive. There doesn't really seem to be any input lag. Again, if you're an expert, let me know in the comments below, but to me this is perfectly acceptable. Unplugging it, this also works wirelessly. Just make sure the DualShock 4 does not turn off. And everything seems pretty good. The buttons seem almost the same as before. Again, I'm not really noticing any input lag. And this is the test that I was most curious about. This is the third PS2 I'll be testing it on, and it is a modded PAL region PS2 that is not in the greatest shape, and it's been around. So testing out the buttons here, everything seems in order, which is pretty impressive considering it is a PS2 from a different region that has been modded. So that's about it. Overall, this PS4, PS3 to PS2 converter gets a big thumbs up from me. I was really happy that it worked on 3 completely different PS2 systems. It worked with 4 different controllers, and it seemed to work pretty good. Anyways, that's all I've got for today. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't like the video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you everyone. Take care.